The neon signs of New Shanghai buzzed incessantly, casting an eerie glow over the rain-slicked streets. Max Chen hunched his shoulders against the downpour, his threadbare jacket offering little protection. At 32, he felt twice his age, worn down by a life of scraping by in the overcrowded megacity. Max's fingers brushed against the crumpled eviction notice in his pocket. 3 months behind on rent, and his landlord's patience had finally run out. He had until tomorrow to vacate his tiny apartment or face forceful removal. The bitter irony wasn't lost on him. He'd come to New Shanghai chasing dreams of prosperity, only to find himself worse off than when he'd left his rural village. Lightning flashed overhead, illuminating the towering skyscrapers that seemed to mock his predicament. Max ducked into a narrow alley, seeking momentary shelter from the rain. He leaned against the grimy wall, closing his eyes and wondering how it had all gone so wrong. A sudden gust of wind made Max's eyes snap open. The air around him shimmered strangely, distorting the neon-lit world beyond the alley. Before he could process what was happening, a blinding light engulfed him. When the light faded, Max found himself in a vast chamber unlike anything he'd ever seen. Curved walls pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and strange symbols danced across floating screens. Max's heart raced as he realized he was no longer in New Shanghai, or anywhere on Earth. "Welcome, Max Chen of Earth," a melodious voice echoed through the chamber. Max spun around, coming face to face with a being that defied description. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, the alien had iridescent purple skin and 4 arms. Its head was adorned with delicate tendrils that seemed to move of their own accord. "I am Ambassador Zixlara of the Galactic Confederation," the being continued. "We have been observing your planet for some time, and you, Max Chen, have been chosen for a unique opportunity." Max's mind reeled, struggling to process the surreal situation. "Chosen? For what?" he managed to stammer. Zixlara's tendrils rippled in what Max assumed was a gesture of reassurance. "Our Empress seeks a mate from a world beyond our own. It is believed that such a union will bring new strength to our bloodline and usher in an era of unprecedented prosperity." Max blinked in disbelief. "You want me to marry an alien empress?" "Indeed," Zixlara confirmed. "Should you accept, you will be granted wealth and power beyond your wildest imagination. Your family on Earth will be cared for, and you will have the opportunity to shape the future of an entire civilization." As the gravity of the offer sank in, Max's thoughts whirled. Just moments ago, he'd been facing homelessness and destitution. Now, he was being offered a chance to change not only his own fate, but that of his family and perhaps even humanity itself. "There must be a catch," Max said, his voice laced with suspicion. "Why me? Surely there are better candidates." Zixlara's tendrils twitched in what might have been amusement. "Our methods of selection are complex, Max Chen. Suffice it to say, you possess qualities that make you uniquely suited for this role. However, I must warn you, our Empress is not considered beautiful by the standards of any world, including our own. Her appearance has deterred all previous suitors." Max couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. "After the life I've had, I've learned that true ugliness rarely has anything to do with appearance." The ambassador's eyes seemed to glow with approval. "A wise perspective. But know this, once you make your choice, there is no turning back. You will leave your old life behind forever." Max closed his eyes, thinking of his struggling parents back in the village, of his sister working 3 jobs to put herself through school. He thought of the countless others in New Shanghai, trapped in the same cycle of poverty and desperation. Opening his eyes, Max met Zixlara's gaze with newfound determination. "I accept," he said, his voice steady despite the fear and excitement coursing through him. The ambassador's tendrils rippled with what seemed to be satisfaction. "Then let us depart, Max Chen. Your new life awaits." As the chamber filled once more with blinding light, Max felt a mixture of terror and exhilaration. He was leaving behind everything he'd ever known, plunging into a universe of unknown dangers and possibilities. But for the first time in years, he felt something he'd almost forgotten: hope. The light engulfed him completely, and Max Chen of Earth ceased to exist. In his place, a new figure emerged, one destined to change the course of galactic history. The journey through space left Max disoriented, his mind struggling to comprehend the vast distances he had traversed in mere moments. As the blinding light faded, he found himself standing in an opulent chamber that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The walls shimmered with an iridescent glow, and what appeared to be liquid metal flowed in intricate patterns across the ceiling. Ambassador Zixlara's voice broke through Max's awe-struck daze. "We have arrived at the imperial palace of Empress Kalaura. Prepare yourself, Max Chen. Your first meeting with your betrothed approaches." Max's heart raced as he tried to steel himself for what was to come. Despite his earlier bravado, doubt began to creep in. What if the Empress was truly horrifying? Could he go through with this, no matter the rewards? Before he could voice his concerns, a set of towering doors swung open silently. Max took a deep breath and stepped forward, entering a vast throne room. Alien courtiers lined the walls, their appearances varying wildly, some resembling creatures from Earth's deepest oceans, others looking more like sentient crystals or swirling clouds of gas. At the far end of the room, upon a dais of what looked like living metal, sat Empress Kalaura. Max's breath caught in his throat as he laid eyes on her for the first time. The Empress was indeed unlike any being Max had ever seen. Her body seemed to be composed of overlapping plates of chitinous material, ranging in color from deep purple to a sickly green. Multiple limbs protruded from her torso at odd angles, each ending in wickedly sharp claws. Her head was elongated and eyeless, with a cluster of writhing tentacles where a mouth should be. As Max approached, fighting the urge to turn and flee, he noticed something unexpected. Despite her alien and admittedly unsettling appearance, there was an unmistakable air of grace and dignity about Empress Kalaura. She held herself with regal poise, and as Max drew nearer, he sensed an aura of keen intelligence emanating from her. "Greetings, Max Chen of Earth." The Empress's voice resonated in Max's mind, a melodious telepathic communication that sent shivers down his spine. "I bid you welcome to my world. I trust your journey was not too discomforting." Max swallowed hard, forcing himself to meet the Empress's eyeless gaze. "Thank you, Your Majesty. The journey was illuminating." A ripple passed through Kalaura's tentacles, which Max interpreted as amusement. "Indeed, I imagine much of what you're experiencing is quite foreign to you. But tell me, Max Chen, now that you stand before me, do you still wish to proceed with our arrangement?" The question hung in the air, weighted with implications. Max knew this was his last chance to back out, to return to his life on Earth. But as he looked at Kalaura, he saw beyond her alien form. He saw the loneliness in her posture, the hope that radiated from her despite years of rejection. "Your Majesty," Max said, his voice growing stronger with each word, "I made a choice when I accepted this opportunity. I stand by that choice. Appearance is fleeting, but the chance to make a difference, to both our worlds, that's what truly matters." A collective murmur rippled through the alien courtiers. Kalaura's tentacles writhed with what Max hoped was pleasure. "You speak wisely, Max Chen. Perhaps our oracles were right about you after all." Over the next few weeks, Max's life became a whirlwind of alien customs and political intrigues. He struggled to learn the complex etiquette of the imperial court, often feeling like a bumbling fool among the graceful alien nobles. But to his surprise, Kalaura showed remarkable patience, guiding him through the intricacies of his new life with gentle humor. As they spent more time together, Max found himself growing genuinely fond of the alien Empress. Her intellect was staggering, her wit sharp and often self-deprecating. She shared with him the weight of ruling a vast interstellar empire, and Max began to understand the loneliness that came with such power. One evening, as they walked through the palace's bioluminescent gardens, Kalaura turned to Max. "You've surprised me, Max Chen," she said, her mental voice tinged with warmth. Most who look upon me see only a monster. You see me. Max reached out, hesitantly placing his hand on one of Kalara's upper limbs. The chitinous surface was cool and smooth beneath his fingers. I'm learning to look beyond the surface, Your Majesty. There's beauty in the unexpected, if we're willing to see it. As Kalara's tentacles curled gently around his hand, Max realized that his initial fear and revulsion had faded. In its place was a growing affection, a connection he never could have anticipated. But even as Max adjusted to his new life and unexpected relationship, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to his selection than mere chance. The way the courtiers watched him, the cryptic comments about oracles and prophecies, it all hinted at hidden agendas and secrets yet to be revealed. As the date of their official union drew near, Max found himself torn between his growing feelings for Kalara and the nagging suspicion that he was a pawn in a game far larger than he could imagine. Little did he know that the true test of his character and the fate of two worlds was about to begin. As the days passed, Max's comfort in the alien world grew, but so did his curiosity about the true nature of his situation. The whispers in the corridors, the meaningful glances exchanged by courtiers, it all pointed to something larger at play. One night, unable to sleep, Max decided to explore the less traveled areas of the vast palace. The corridors twisted and turned, the living architecture responding to his presence in subtle ways. As he rounded a corner, he heard hushed voices coming from behind a shimmering energy field. The human adapts well, but does he truly understand the weight of the prophecy? A raspy voice asked. Max froze, pressing himself against the wall, straining to hear more. Patience, Zorlak, came the reply, a voice Max recognized as belonging to Ambassador Zixlara. The Empress grows fond of him. When the time comes, he will fulfill his role. Heart pounding, Max slipped away, his mind reeling. Prophecy. What role was he meant to fulfill? The next day, determined to uncover the truth, Max approached Kalara during their daily walk in the suspended gardens. The floating islands of exotic flora provided a serene backdrop to the tension Max felt building inside him. Your Majesty, he began, trying to keep his voice steady, I've heard whispers of a prophecy. Something involving me. I think it's time you told me the whole truth. Kalara's tentacles writhed in what Max had come to recognize as a sign of discomfort. After a long moment, she spoke. You are perceptive, Max Chen. Yes, there is more to your presence here than a simple marriage alliance. As they walked, Kalara revealed an ancient prophecy that spoke of a union between their two races. This union, it was said, would not only break a millennia-old curse on the royal bloodline, but also usher in an era of unprecedented prosperity and technological advancement for both species. But that's not all, is it? Max pressed, sensing there was still more to the story. Kalara's mental voice grew heavy with the weight of hidden knowledge. No, it is not. The prophecy also speaks of a great threat, a darkness that seeks to consume both our worlds. Only through our union can this threat be averted. Max's mind raced, trying to process the implications. So I'm not just here to be your husband, but to save two civilizations. That is the hope, Kalara admitted. But prophecies are often cryptic, open to interpretation. We cannot be certain of anything. As they continued their walk, Max's thoughts turned to Earth. Does this threat endanger my home world as well? Kalara's response was grim. We believe so. Our long-range sensors have detected an anomaly at the edge of your solar system. Something vast and ancient is stirring, Max. Something that defies our understanding of physics and biology. The weight of this revelation settled on Max's shoulders like a physical burden. He had come here seeking to escape poverty, to help his family. Now he found himself at the center of a cosmic drama, with the fate of two worlds hanging in the balance. As if sensing his turmoil, Kalara reached out, her claw gently grasping his hand. I understand if this changes things, Max. The burden is great, perhaps too great to ask of one who did not seek it. Max looked at their joined hands, human fingers intertwined with alien claws. In that moment, he realized that despite the vast differences between them, despite the secrets and prophecies, a genuine connection had formed. "I made a choice when I came here," Max said, his voice growing stronger. "I chose to leave behind a life of hopelessness for a chance at something greater. I won't back down now, not when the stakes are so high." Kalara's tentacles rippled with what Max now recognized as deep emotion. "You continue to surprise me, Max Chen. Perhaps there is hope for us all." As they made their way back to the palace, Max's mind whirled with questions. What was this ancient threat? How could their union possibly stop it? And most pressingly, was he truly ready for the role thrust upon him? Little did Max know that forces were already in motion, both on this alien world and back on Earth. The prophecy had set events in motion that would soon test not only his newfound resolve, but the very fabric of reality itself. As night fell on the alien world, Max stood at the window of his chambers, gazing out at the twin moons hanging low in the sky. He thought of his family back on Earth, blissfully unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding. He thought of Kalara, the alien empress who had become so much more than a political alliance. With a deep breath, Max steeled himself for what was to come. He had chosen this path, and no matter the challenges ahead, he would see it through. The fate of two worlds now rested in his hands, and Max Chen, once a desperate man on the streets of New Shanghai, was determined not to let them down. As news of Max's true role in the prophecy spread through the imperial court, the atmosphere in the palace shifted dramatically. Some viewed him with awe, others with suspicion, and a growing faction saw him as a threat to the established order. Max found himself thrust into intensive training sessions, learning not only the intricacies of alien politics, but also the basics of their advanced technology. His days were filled with grueling physical exercises to prepare him for the unknown challenges ahead, while his nights were spent poring over ancient texts and star charts. One evening, as Max struggled to decipher a particularly complex alien script, an urgent message arrived from Earth. His sister, Li Wei, had managed to establish contact through channels provided by the Galactic Confederation. Her holographic image flickered before him, her face etched with worry. "Max, strange things are happening here." Li Wei's voice crackled with interference. "People are disappearing, and there are reports of bizarre phenomena all around the globe. The governments are trying to keep it quiet, but have image distorted, breaking up. Max, we need you. Earth needs you." Before Max could respond, the transmission cut out, leaving him staring at empty space, his heart racing. The threat to Earth was no longer a distant possibility, it had become a terrifying reality. Rushing to find Kalara, Max nearly collided with a group of alien nobles in the corridor. Among them was Voxthar, a high-ranking official who had made no secret of his disdain for the primitive human in their midst. "Ah, the prophesied savior," Voxthar sneered, his crystalline body glinting menacingly. "Running to share more of your primitive wisdom." Max stood his ground, meeting Voxthar's gaze steadily. "My world is in danger. I need to speak with the Empress immediately." Voxthar's laugh was like shattering glass. "Your world? You gave up any claim to that mud bowl when you came here human, or have you forgotten your place so quickly?" Anger flared in Max's chest, but he forced himself to remain calm. "My place is wherever I can do the most good, Voxthar. Right now, that means warning the Empress about the threat we all face." As Max pushed past the group, he could feel their eyes boring into his back. He knew he had made a powerful enemy, but there was no time for political maneuvering. Two worlds hung in the balance. He found Kalara in the war room, surrounded by holographic displays of star systems and swirling energy patterns. As Max relayed the message from Earth, he could see the gravity of the situation settle over the Empress. "It's happening faster than we anticipated." Kalara's mental voice was tinged with concern. "The anomaly we detected has begun to manifest physically. We must accelerate our plans." "What exactly are our plans?" Max asked, frustration creeping into his voice. I've been training, studying, preparing, but for what? What are we actually going to do? Kalara's tentacles writhed in agitation. The prophecy speaks of a fusion, Max, not just between our two species, but a melding of minds and technologies that will create a force capable of repelling the darkness. Max's mind reeled at the implications. A fusion, you mean, physically? In a sense, Kalara replied, but it goes beyond the physical. It is a joining of consciousness, of the very essence of our beings. It is, not without risk. As the full weight of what was being asked of him sank in, Max felt a moment of doubt. He had come so far, adapted to so much, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. Before he could voice his concerns, alarms blared throughout the palace. Holographic screens flickered to life, showing scenes of chaos erupting across the planet. Strange, shadowy entities were materializing in cities, sowing panic and destruction. It's here. Kalara's mental voice was filled with dread. The darkness has found us. As they watched the unfolding catastrophe, a loud explosion rocked the palace. The doors to the war room burst open, and Ambassador Zixlara stumbled in, injured and breathless. "Your Majesty," Zixlara gasped, "we're under attack. Voxthar and his followers, they've allied themselves with the darkness. They're trying to prevent the prophecy from being fulfilled." Max's mind raced. The enemy was no longer just some cosmic force, but included those from within, those who feared change and the unknown. Kalara turned to Max, her eyeless face somehow conveying a mix of determination and fear. "The time has come, Max Chen. We must complete the fusion now, or all will be lost. Are you ready?" As sirens wailed and the sounds of battle echoed through the palace, Max looked at Kalara, the alien empress who had become so much more to him. He thought of Earth, of his family, of two civilizations on the brink of annihilation. With a deep breath, Max nodded. "I'm ready. Let's save our worlds." As Kalara led him deeper into the heart of the palace, towards the ancient chamber where the fusion would take place, Max steeled himself for what was to come. He had made his choice, and now the fate of two worlds rested on his shoulders. The battle raged around them, the forces of darkness closing in, but in the midst of chaos, a spark of hope remained. Max Chen, once a desperate man from the streets of New Shanghai, was about to take his final step into legend. Part 5, The Great Revelation. The ancient chamber deep within the palace thrummed with energy as Max and Kalara prepared for the fusion ritual. Intricate patterns carved into the walls pulsed with an otherworldly light, responding to their presence. The sounds of battle echoed distantly, a grim reminder of the chaos unfolding above. "Once we begin, there's no turning back." Kalara's mental voice resonated with a mix of anticipation and fear. "Are you certain, Max?" Max took a deep breath, steadying himself. "I'm certain. Whatever happens, we face it together." As they took their positions in the center of the chamber, Max felt a strange tingling sensation spreading through his body. The air around them began to shimmer and distort, reality itself seeming to bend and warp. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from the chamber's core, enveloping them both. Max felt his consciousness expanding, merging with Kalara's in ways he couldn't have imagined. Memories, thoughts, and emotions that weren't his own flooded his mind. In that moment of cosmic union, a shocking truth revealed itself. The ugliness that had defined Kalara's appearance was not natural. It was a manifestation of the ancient curse, a physical representation of the darkness that threatened both their worlds. As their minds and bodies fused, Max witnessed the true form of the Empress emerge. Gone were the chitinous plates and writhing tentacles. In their place was a being of breathtaking beauty, radiant, ethereal, and undeniably alien, yet no longer repulsive to human eyes. The curse. Max's thoughts echoed in their shared consciousness. It was never about finding someone who could see past your appearance. It was about finding someone whose acceptance could break the curse itself. Kalara's response rippled through him like a wave of emotion. "Yes, Max. Your willingness to see beyond the surface, to connect with who I truly am, it was the key all along. As their fusion deepened, Max felt his understanding of the universe expanding exponentially. The nature of the darkness threatening their worlds became clear. It was a cosmic force of entropy and decay, drawn to civilizations on the brink of transformative change. With their combined knowledge and the power unleashed by breaking the curse, Max and Caldara began to formulate a plan to repel the darkness. But their moment of revelation was shattered by a violent explosion. The chamber doors burst open, and Voxar stormed in, his crystalline body pulsing with dark energy. Behind him, shadowy entities writhed and twisted, their very presence seeming to corrode reality. "You're too late," Voxar snarled, his voice distorted by the dark power he had embraced. "The darkness has promised us power beyond your pathetic prophecy. We will reshape the universe in our image." Max and Caldara, still locked in their fusion state, faced the oncoming threat. Their merged form radiated with a light that seemed to push back the encroaching shadows. "You're wrong, Voxar," their unified voice rang out. "The darkness offers only destruction. What we've discovered here, what we've become, this is the true path to power and understanding." As Voxar and his dark allies launched their attack, Max and Caldara countered with abilities born from their fusion. Beams of purifying light lanced out, dispelling the shadowy entities. The very fabric of space-time rippled around them, responding to their will. The battle raged, shaking the foundations of the palace and sending shockwaves across the planet. In orbit, the massive anomaly that had been approaching began to recoil, as if sensing the new power that had awakened to oppose it. As the conflict reached its peak, Max and Caldara realized the final step needed to banish the darkness. Their fusion, the breaking of the curse, it was only the beginning. To truly save both their worlds, they would need to share this transformative power with others. In a moment of silent communication, they made their choice. Focusing their combined will, they began to emanate waves of energy that spread outward, touching every being on the planet and beyond, reaching all the way to Earth. Voxar and his followers screamed as the purifying light washed over them, burning away the darkness that had corrupted them. Across two worlds, people gasped as they felt a momentary connection to something greater than themselves. As the light faded and the dust settled, Max and Caldara stood triumphant. The darkness had been pushed back, Voxar and his allies lay defeated, and a new era dawned for both their civilizations. But as they looked at each other, still buzzing with the energy of their fusion, they realized that their journey was far from over. The threat had been averted, but the true challenge, uniting two vastly different worlds and guiding them into an uncertain future, was just beginning. Max Chen, once a desperate man from Earth, now stood as one half of the most powerful beings in two worlds. As the weight of responsibility settled on their shoulders, he and Caldara knew that their greatest adventures still lay ahead. In the days following the great battle, a sense of awe and uncertainty settled over both Earth and Caldara's homeworld. The events had been felt across vast distances of space, leaving both civilizations grappling with new realities and possibilities. On Earth, governments scrambled to make sense of the global phenomenon that had touched every human being. Reports flooded in of miraculous healings, spontaneous technological breakthroughs, and a newfound sense of global unity. The veil between worlds had been lifted, if only for a moment, and humanity would never be the same. Meanwhile, on Caldara's world, the aftermath of the battle brought sweeping changes. The defeat of Voxar and his followers had left a power vacuum, and many looked to Max and Caldara for guidance. Their fusion had become a symbol of hope and a bridge between two vastly different species. As the dust settled, Max and Caldara faced the monumental task of forging a path forward. They stood before the assembled leaders of both worlds, their merged form a testament to the potential of unity. "We stand at a crossroads," their unified voice rang out, addressing the gathered dignitaries and the billions watching via holographic broadcasts. "The darkness has been pushed back, but not defeated. Our worlds must unite if we are to face the challenges that lie ahead. Their proclamation was met with a mix of excitement and trepidation. On Earth, some hailed the alien contact as the dawn of a new age, while others feared the loss of human autonomy. On Kalara's world, traditionalists worried about the dilution of their culture, even as others embraced the possibilities of change. Over the following months, Max and Kalara worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between their peoples. They established exchange programs, allowing humans and aliens to learn from each other directly. Earth benefited from advancements in alien technology, while Kalara's people gained fresh perspectives and innovative ideas from human creativity. But the path was not without its obstacles. Cultural misunderstandings led to tense moments, and fringe groups on both worlds resisted the changes. Max and Kalara found themselves not just leaders, but mediators and teachers, guiding two civilizations towards a shared future. As their efforts bore fruit, a new form of governance began to take shape. A council comprised of representatives from both worlds was established, with Max and Kalara serving as its heart and conscience. Their unique perspective, born from the fusion of two beings, provided invaluable insight in navigating the complexities of interstellar diplomacy. 1 year after the Great Battle, Max stood on the balcony of the Imperial Palace, gazing out at the alien sky he now called home. Kalara's presence in his mind was a constant comfort, their thoughts and emotions intertwined in ways he was still discovering. "Do you ever regret it?" Kalara's mental voice asked softly, "Leaving behind your old life, taking on this immense responsibility?" Max smiled, his thoughts flowing freely between them. "Sometimes I miss the simplicity of my old life, but then I think of all we've accomplished, all the lives we've changed. How could I regret that?" Their conversation was interrupted by an aide, bringing news from Earth. Max's sister, Li Wei, had given birth to a healthy baby girl, the first child born of a human-alien union. It was a powerful symbol of the new era they were building. As they prepared for the official announcement, Max reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From a desperate man on the streets of New Shanghai to the co-leader of an interstellar alliance, his life had transformed in ways he could never have imagined. The ceremony to welcome the new child was broadcast across two worlds. As Max and Kalara stood before the assembled crowds, holding the infant that represented the future they were fighting for, a sense of hope and possibility filled the air. "Today, we celebrate not just a birth, but a rebirth," they announced, their merged voice carrying the weight of two civilizations. "A new dynasty begins, not of blood or tradition, but of unity and understanding. Together, we will face whatever challenges the universe has in store." As cheers erupted from countless beings across two worlds, Max felt a profound sense of purpose. The road ahead would be challenging, filled with obstacles and setbacks. But as he stood there, connected to Kalara and to the vast tapestry of life spread out before them, he knew that they were ready. The ugly daughter and the desperate human had found not just each other, but a destiny greater than either could have imagined. Their story had become legend, a tale of love, sacrifice, and the indomitable spirit of two species united against the darkness. As the celebration continued around them, Max and Kalara shared a private moment of reflection. They had inherited more than just a fortune or an empire. They had inherited the future of two worlds, and together they would shape that future one step at a time.